All right, let's jump right into today's explainer, because we're breaking down a truly wild ride of reincarnation, brutal revenge, and just sheer absolute genius. I mean, picture this. You're a brilliant modern doctor and chemist, right? But suddenly you die and wake up in a medieval world. And not as a king or a knight, but as the city's most pathetic, universally despised fool. That's exactly the hand dealt to our main character, Shen Lang. So how exactly does the absolute laughingstock of the city turn around and outsmart an entire kingdom? Well, today we're tracking this insane chronological escalation. We're going to watch Shenlong go from barely surviving local street thugs to literally orchestrating the downfall of a massive royal rebellion. It's a total masterclass in strategy, and seeing him use his modern knowledge to completely crush his enemies is honestly so satisfying. Now, the contrast between the original Shenlong and the new one it's literally night and day. The original guy spent 10 years in school but was totally illiterate. So physically weak he probably couldn't win a fight with a chicken and completely naively obsessed with his scheming wife. But the reincarnated Shenlong, he brings a 300 IQ, master-level chemistry, and medical skills. Oh, and he has this unbelievable cheat code, an actual medical x-ray machine and computer fused directly into his soul, so he can analyze anything instantly. Crazy, right? Chapter 1. The Reincarnated Genius Fool. Okay, so Shenlong's starting point is absolute rock bottom. He gets kicked out by his ex-wife and immediately faces a brutal death sentence in the form of a massive 1,000 gold coin debt. See, his brother borrowed this tiny sum from the ruthless Black Clothes gang, and the predatory interest just ballooned it out of control. To stop the gang boss from literally burying him alive, Shenlong promises to pay back 10 times the debt in just 3 days. The clock is officially ticking. Moving on to Chapter 2, Winning the Warrior Goddess. With only 3 days to live, Shenlang desperately needs an untouchable alliance, so he sets his sights on Jin Mulan, the badass warrior daughter of the Earl. To get her attention, he pulls off his first major face-slapping victory. He crashes a massive public event, brews up this modern medicinal gold silk dye, and then extracts a super vibrant purple dye from seashells, which everyone thought was literally impossible back then. In one fell swoop, he completely ruins his ex-wife's family's silk monopoly right in front of everyone. But you gotta ask, how does a known fool actually win over this fierce warrior? Pure psychological profiling. While all these other noble suitors are bragging about their strength or their money, Shenlong knows Mulan really just wants autonomy. So he offers her absolute freedom to keep living her warrior life. His only condition? No cheating. He gives her exactly what she wants, and she shocks the entire city by choosing him. Of course, the elite class is not going to just sit back and let this happen. We get this highly satisfying wedding climax where this arrogant scholar, Yang Shang, crashes the ceremony screaming that Shenlong is illiterate. Bad move. Shenlong activates his mental computer and utterly destroys the guy. He flawlessly reads these insanely complex characters, points out 4 hidden pronunciations, and actually tricks Yang Shang into loudly reading, "I am an idiot," in front of the whole city. It's brilliant. Which brings us to Chapter 3, Bankrupting the Underworld Boss. Now that he has the absolute protection of the Earl's mansion, Shenlang goes straight for Tan Hong, that gang leader who threatened his family. And he discovers the ultimate money hack. Turns out, X-ray vision plus a casino equals unlimited gold. Shenlang strolls right in, perfectly sees through the dice cups and the cards, and just bets blind on high or low. He wins every single hand. I mean, the casino managers are absolutely sweating bullets at this point. And he doesn't just win a little pocket change. He inflicts a staggering 26,000 gold coin debt on Tianhang. That is an insane amount of money. He even brings the common gamblers in on it, telling them exactly how to bet so they all drain the casino dry together. He literally bankrupts the underworld boss's empire overnight. But Shenlang doesn't stop at the money. He turns this into sheer psychological warfare. He threatens to bankrupt every single casino Chen Hang owns unless he meets one demand. And the demand? Chen Hong has to publicly break the legs of his own adopted sons, the exact thugs who threatened Shenlang's parents earlier. It is such a ruthless, calculated move. He strips his tormentor of his cash, his reputation, and his gang's loyalty all in one brutal swoop. Chapter 4, the scandalous bestseller, Revenge. Shenlong never really stops calculating, does he? Next, he pivots over to the publishing world to finish off his ex-wife's corrupt family.
Under this pen name Rogue Scholar, he drops a book called Boundless Romantic Affairs. Using modern dramatic storytelling and his ridiculously good drawing skills, he creates this highly scandalous hit piece, and the villains in the book look suspiciously identical to his real-life enemies. It completely torpedoes their social standing.
He weaponizes their ego so perfectly here. So he publishes the book on day 1. By day 5, the arrogant villain catches wind of it, absolutely loses his mind, and actually buys all 3,000 printed copies just to burn them in the street. But this completely backfires. It basically acts as free marketing. The Streisand effect takes over, the scandal just explodes across the city, and Shenlong walks away with a massive financial victory while keeping his hands totally clean.
Let's look at Chapter 5, Exposing a Royal Rebellion.
So the villains finally realize they cannot beat this guy at small games. They go big and orchestrate a massive political strike at this grand banquet. They corner Shenlong, publicly humiliate his wife, and falsely accuse him of stealing a famous, brilliant exam poem. They've got forged documents, bribed scholars, the backing of royal inspectors. They really think they have him completely trapped. But, Shenlong is always light years ahead. First, he uses his X-ray vision to analyze the physical aging of their forged exam paper, immediately proving it was recently tampered with. Then, he drops the ultimate 300 IQ reverse Uno card. He reveals the poem he wrote is actually an acrostic. He decodes this hidden message baked right into the text, calling for a violent royal rebellion. Yep, a literal treasonous code that the villains just proudly, publicly claimed as their own work. This right here reveals his terrifying mastermind foresights. Shenlong orchestrated this entire trap weeks in advance. He secretly diagnosed a royal princess with lead poisoning, used that connection to gather intel that a southern prince was about to rebel, planted that treasonous acrostic poem, fully knowing his enemies would try to steal it, and then he just waited for them to claim ownership of literal treason in front of the entire elite class. The villains start panicking, right? Claiming the rebellion is fake news. But Shenlong just calmly makes them wait. At 8 p.m., he drops the bomb. By 9 p.m., the enemies are sweating, desperately denying it. But then, right at midnight, messenger after messenger arrives confirming that Prince Jin's rebellion is absolutely real. The villains' alliance is instantly shattered, they're hauled off and arrested for treason, and the Earl's mansion is saved. But hey, after outsmarting an entire kingdom, we're brought back down to earth with one glaring flaw. Shenlong possesses a once-in-a-millennium mind, but it's trapped in a zero-stamina body. Mulan, his badass warrior wife, is super impressed by his intellect for sure, but she decides it is high time for him to stop being so physically weak. So she signs him up for grueling, bone-crushing martial arts training. And for Shenlong, this is honestly a fate way worse than dealing with political assassins. Which leaves us with a pretty hilarious cliffhanger. Can a 300 IQ mastermind actually survive intense physical martial arts training? Or is his own wife going to end up being his toughest opponent yet? Shenlong's mental victories so far are just absolute perfection, but his physical journey is literally just beginning. What a wild, brilliant story of strategy and survival. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep learning out there.